Hey everyone, we'll get started here in just a couple moments. We've got a great registration for today, so want to give everyone a chance to get into the webinar before we get started. We'll give just another minute or two and then go ahead and get started. All right, guys, if you're just joining, don't worry. There are not audio issues, but we are just going to give it another minute to get started. I just want to give everyone a chance to get into the webinar before we get moving. All right. Well, the good news is if they haven't joined the webinar yet, they will be able to go through the housekeeping items on the recording. So let's go ahead and get everything started for the webinar today. We're really excited to have you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. I know everyone is super busy at this time of the year, so we're really thrilled that you took the time out of your day. My name is Brian. I lead learning and enablement here at Seguno. So after what feels like the longest year ever for me, we have only a few weeks left in the year. So basically 2 weeks left, and I have all of my holiday shopping left to do. So we've got some really great content ready for you guys to go through today. The content will take just about a full hour. We'll try to move a little bit quickly, but we do want to save room for questions at the end. So while we're going through the content today, a couple of quick housekeeping items. We will be recording the webinar and sending out a link for the recording and for the slide deck after the webinar is complete. So keep your eyes out for that one. Excuse me. If you have questions, please put those in through the Q&A feature, not the chat feature. Please use the Q&A feature for questions so that we can monitor those and make sure that we answer those for you. We will ask you guys to put some things in the chat, but again, we're not going to be able to monitor that for questions. The Q&A feature is going to be best for that one. All right, well, let's take a look here. One last thing I just want to mention really quickly. We will send out a quick survey after the webinar. If you guys can fill that out, it's a really, really quick survey. That feedback goes a long way for us to be able to provide more great content for you guys in the future. So please do take just a moment and fill out that survey at the end. So Kestrel, am I missing anything before we go ahead and get started?
No, not at all, Brian. We can go ahead and kick things off. Hey, everyone, I'm Kestrel Lemen. And if you have tuned in before and heard us go through a webinar before, great, glad to have you back. But just as a way of kind of introducing myself, I've been in the email marketing industry for over 10 years. I've worked with all kinds of brands, big brands, smaller brands. And the thing that I'm really passionate about is helping Shopify merchants be able to make more money through email marketing. And so that's really the driving force behind this presentation and really every presentation that we put together. So, to that end, why don't we go ahead and get started? I'm gonna talk through a little bit about who's in the audience today because it's kind of nice to know who you're virtually sitting next to as we go through the presentation. And then we're going to go through defining an angle for your holiday messaging. A lot of you asked, how can I stand out? How can I make sure people notice me? And we're going to touch on utilizing your USP in your promotions. We're also going to talk about some tweaks, just some small changes that you can make to your regular messaging that can help really improve your overall clicks and thus sales during this holiday season. And then, of course, the big stuff that we're talking about today are 5 separate holiday campaigns that you can go through and still execute on. You could start implementing tomorrow. And I've even wrangled Brian into showing us how to set up some things in the application. So, really, when you come out of this presentation, you'll know exactly what you need to do in order to set these things in motion. And then finally, I went ahead and say an extended Q&A. We're happy to stay around and answer questions. We really want to make sure you guys get a lot out of today's presentation. So let's talk about who's here in the audience. Up first, as far as industry goes, the industry that showed up the most today was clothing and fashion. Not surprised to see that. We've seen that in other presentations as well, and also health and beauty. But I thought, it was kind of interesting as we had quite a few people in the other category as well. Please, in the chat function right now, would love for you to kind of type in what industry are you in? What are you selling that we didn't list here so we can make sure to address that? We'd love knowing more about our audience, so that helps drive our help articles or blog posts, any kind of content that we build. So it'd be great to understand what kind of other industries that we have here today. And then, and Brian, I wanted to talk to you about this. I have a question for you after kind of talking through this. We asked everyone, how did Black Friday and Cyber Monday go? And about, really about half of the audience said, went okay to fantastic. Really love to see everybody who said fantastic. Congratulations, way to go. And then we had some people who said, didn't really change much. About a third of people said that. And then we had a good portion, 23% of people say not so good. So I can tell that, for those people who maybe didn't make their sales, or maybe they're just not in a region where Black Friday and Cyber Monday was that big of a deal, it's really good to maybe see that, like, now these campaigns from now until the end of the year, into the holiday season, could really be very helpful for you. So that was some really good feedback to get from the audience. And Brian, I thought we could do maybe a poll question, because we talked about doing this a little bit earlier. We were talking about our own holiday shopping, and we were saying, hey, how many of you guys in your own personal lives are you still shopping for the holidays? So not maybe you as the Shopify merchant, put that aside, but just in your own personal life, how many of you are, hey, I still have plenty of shopping to do, or maybe just a little, or no, you're totally done. You've checked everybody off your list. You're ready to go.
Yeah, Kestrel, this poll results are already making me feel a lot better about where I am in my shopping progress so far. Looks like I'm along with the vast majority of the people in the room today are squarely in the yes, I am still shopping for the holidays. So while you might be a little bit more ahead of the curve in terms of that, I am with the vast majority of the audience so far for that one. So
Yep.
good to know there's still a lot of opportunity for folks like us
Yep.
to get our shopping going.
Yep. Well, it's very much human nature to kind of wait till the last minute till you really, and we'll talk about that for sure here today with how you can utilize that in your own campaigns. I have been through a lot of holiday seasons, and that does not surprise me at all. I think the day when we run one of these polls and everyone says no, totally done, that that would shock me. That would shock me to my very core. But usually when we run these, everyone's still very much in the buying season right now. So that makes a lot of sense. All right. So let's talk a little bit more about Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Obviously, there's plenty to be said, and I don't want to take up too much time with this, but I did think it was really interesting to note that Shopify itself pointed out that email marketing had the highest conversion rate for their Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales. So across all of their, million plus users, email by far had the highest conversion rate. And I thought that was, really, really interesting. And of course, being somebody who's a big email nerd, was really encouraging And Brian, what do you think about these results?
Honestly, it's not that confusing or that shocking for me. It really just kind of affirms what we know. And that's when you're sending an email to someone, you've already started a relationship or they've already shown a little bit of interest in you, in your shop. And that's why they subscribed in the first place. So I do see some of the other areas are growing a little bit more. And there's definitely a lot of trendy items, and everybody wants to have their own integration into their own app. But it is really interesting to see that email is still the number one conversion rate. Really kind of affirming for me.
Yep. Yeah, no, that really hits on the head. Something that I like to include in our presentations a lot is just kind of the reminder of how email marketing works. Your list, your data, that's made up of your customers and your subscribers. They already know who you are. They already know your brand. They already know your products. You've already managed to get them to give you their email address. And so, really, email marketing is the ability to kind of alert them to get back to your site. It's all about, getting them to come back and retain them as being interested. And by doing that, I think that's why we see such a huge return on investment with email, and also why we see such a big conversion rate there too. And though we're not going to specifically talk about automation too much today, because obviously we're very focused on holiday centric campaigns, I did want to make a call out to how important automation is here too. So, automation is the idea that when somebody takes an important action, like abandoning a checkout or signing up for the first time, that you're able to send them a message right away and capitalize on their initial interest. And over and over again, and Brian, I know you've seen this too, but these are things that really help make a big difference financially for different merchants, is setting up these different pieces of automation. So like I said, we're not going to go through too much on automation now, but we have plenty of content. Brian has put together great presentations in the past. We've got a lot of documentation on automation. So I did want to, of course, kind of make that as a call out, because I know conversions is on the top of everyone's minds, to make sure that they have their automation set up. But to kind of switch gears and to get more into what you came here for is, how are we going to do this whole holiday thing? Well, let's talk a little bit about angling your holiday messages and making some tweaks. Really, everything that I'm going to talk about here is all about how can you get more clicks, more attention, because if you can get more attention kind of at the top of the funnel, then obviously you're going to get more conversions coming through altogether. So first, let's just talk about unique selling proposition. And if you've been a client of mine before, or if you've heard me talk before, I really love talking about unique selling proposition, but it's because it's such an important ingredient to you standing out in the inbox. So chances are, I hope that you see some words here as far as how you describe your brand or store. I hope you see some things in here like organic, natural, soft, cozy, one of a kind, trendy, Instagrammable. I hope that you kind of resonate, your brand resonates with some of these. And I also hope that you understand how you stand out from your competitors. What makes you different? Is it that you have higher quality ingredients, it's a higher quality product, or that maybe people are able to get more for their money? Is it that you innovated something new? You made a totally new invention? Or did you take something that was older and make improvements on it? But those are all ways that make your audience very specifically interested in you. And so when we go through today and talk about the different campaigns, I want you to always remember that this is the lens that you should be thinking about those campaigns through. And to show off really what this means, and actually, I had some great stats here. So, one of the things that I think almost everyone on this call has in common is that you're a smaller local business, right? And no matter where you are, you have people that are around you, right? So that's what makes it local. And both Google and Shopify and many, many other publications have said this year more than anything has prompted consumers to want to shop at smaller business, to get away from Amazon, to give back to their local community. And so that if you're feeling kind of at a loss for what your unique selling proposition might be, just remember that those are the ones that are standing out right now. And so if you have that, and I would suspect many of you do, if you have kind of that angle to go at, make sure to say it loud in your messages, because I think people do need that kind of prompting and that reminding because they are very interested in it. Now, an example of where I thought, a cool, unique selling proposition was being used was here in this message from Los Olivos. And one thing so they're using their unique selling proposition, which is that they create this great, they create gift baskets with this great food in it. And of course, if you combine that with holidays, you think about family gathering and good food together and the idea of family and friends. And I thought that that was really interesting that they are not just saying, like, hey, buy this consumable product, but that they're actually tying it together with the season and showing off relevant products that somebody would want to maybe buy for their family. So let's say maybe this year you're not able to get together with a big family reunion for a Christmas dinner, but maybe you are able to send out specific goodies that you know your family loves together. So by kind of taking a very simple message and then slanting it towards their unique selling proposition and adding that to the timeliness of the season, I think makes this message stand out a little bit more than just your standard, like, oh, hey, we've got, I don't know, this XYZ product for this price. That's not very special, but they're able to make this messaging a little bit more special. And I really like to see that. Now, as far as little holiday message tweaks, these are not very big changes, but they can really help improve your click rates, and that's ultimately what we're after. So what I'm trying to say is it's very much worth your time, is what I'm trying to get across here. Not going to take much of your time. Brian's going to show you how to do a lot of these right away too. But one of the biggest things that we like to change for the holiday season is to address why people are nervous. And the reason why we like to address that is because that nervousness or anxiety is friction that stops them from buying from you and makes them go buy from something else that they see as maybe being more reliable because maybe someone else is better at removing that friction. So what you want to do, and of course you hear about this with people who talk about CRO as well, but you want to remove as much friction as possible from somebody buying from you. And in order to know what that friction is, you have to think about what's making your audience nervous. And right now, over and over again, the things that are typically going to always make your audience nervous at this time of year is shipping deadlines. So we will probably talk a lot about shipping deadlines because the data continually shows that that's what makes people very nervous this time of year, and that's what will make them abandon a cart in one vendor and go to another vendor because that other vendor is showing more clearly how they're going to get the item there on time. But there's also other issues that people might be nervous about. And if you take a moment to kind of think about it, I bet you can think of some things that your audience is nervous about. Maybe it's COVID sanitation. If you're making some handmade objects, they need to know that you're, wearing a mask while you're doing that. Maybe it's gift ideas. People are just nervous. Like, I know I need to get something for someone. I just don't know what that is. Maybe it's returns or warranties, guarantees, size guides. I mean, the list could go on, but my guess is you'll know what makes your audience nervous about buying from you during this time of year, because I bet it's what you have to deal with a lot with customer concerns and customer questions. So let's see how you could tweak your messages ever so slightly to kind of pick up on some of this and improve click rates overall. A super simple one that you can do is just putting gifts in your header. So you can be fancy like Sephora and do some hard coding and make it add in some bells and whistles, or you can do something super straightforward like bonobos and just put gifts up in that top section. This takes the math out of someone needing to remember, like, oh yeah, I could use this merchant for gifts. You just state it right up front. So they don't have to do the mental math in their head. They just immediately see gifts, they click gifts, they go to gifts. they get what they want. So it's a little thing, but it can really help improve overall click rates. And then you can also take a little bit more real estate within your message to address whatever those big concerns are. In this example from Local Eclectic, they know that shipping is going to be a concern for people because probably people are trying to buy. It's jewelry, it's costume jewelry, not it's handmade jewelry, it's a lot of different kinds of jewelry. And so they're going to want to try to get it to whoever they're sending to on time. And so they're going to really make sure to show off, like, you need to order by this date to get it to whoever by the 24th. And so they've made sure to list that twice in their messaging. And then they've also made sure to list out gifts by price point. And for jewelry, that can be very important, or any kind of high dollar SKUs, that can be really important because obviously you can get in pretty deep pretty quick and you might not have meant to do that. So having things listed out by price point can really help there. So these are just these are just some quick and simple banners that they were able to put into their message to help alleviate any concern and thus make it way more of a no-brainer to just say, like, oh yeah, I have time. It's going to get there by the time I'm worried about. That's great. Move on to the next thing. Now, this is another example from Bonobos. And the reason why I put this in here is that you really don't need to overthink this. Bonobos is a very well-known and beloved brand. And you can see they just put gifts in their header, nothing too special in there. And they even, their kind of the top concerns, like the holiday concerns call out that they put there, is not that fancy. They didn't, it's really just like a red circle with words in the middle of it. So yes, it looks great, but they really didn't make this huge elaborate image. So I know some of you are like, hey, look, I'm a one-person show. I don't have time to like go out and get a graphic designer and get all this designed. You don't have to. You can, as long as you keep it streamlined, keep it simple. This is all about just kind of getting the information out there. And so to that end, Brian, we just talked about kind of injecting a bunch of things into messages. Can we kind of see how would we do that in the app?
Probably helps if I unmute myself, so we'll see how many times that happens. Favorite thing for
it's okay.
the remote
I'm sure I'm gonna do it too. I'm sure.
Well, I was just remarking to myself apparently that we've gotten some great questions in the Q&A, so keep those coming. A couple of quick questions that are coming through. Someone was asking a little bit about the collections and the gift prices and all those different types of things. We're going to talk about those in a little bit, but as you know, a lot of the setup that you do for your Seguno email is actually done in your Shopify admin. So what I'm going to demonstrate with this different templates and stuff here, there's a lot of stuff that I've set up just for our demo storefront. You can set it up in your own shop as well. So there are a couple things you gave me to do there. So we've got a couple, create a navigation menu for gifts. We've got to put a couple of call outs in the messages themselves. So what I'm going to do for today, just to save some time, is I'm going to work off of some of the templates that we have here. I know that people love the templates. So if you haven't used the templates, definitely come into the templates tab, take a look at the template store. There's a ton of different stuff. It's going to save you a lot of time this holiday. So I've already got these ones created. These are just going to go along with some of the different campaign ideas. No spoilers, just a little teaser here for what Kestrel is going to cover in a little bit. But once I have my template, I'm just going to go in and let's go ahead and start creating a newsletter. So I'll come over to my newsletters tab, create newsletter. And for my starting point, I'm just going to scroll down to those templates that I already have. And for the first one with that gift guide, that's what I'm going to use here. So let's go ahead and select that. We're going to give it a nice clear title. So something really, I don't know, something really creative, way out of left field, maybe Holiday Gift Guide 2020. Makes it really easy for me to go back and find
You're crazy.
Those results.
That's crazy.
Well, I just like to stay organized. So for the subject line, I always pull in subject lines straight from the text in the preview. So again, that's going to save me a lot of time. So not sure what to give this season. We've got your back. Look at that. I pulled it right out of the primary text from the template. And then with the preview text, we've talked about this a lot on previous messages, but the preview text is really trying to entice them a little bit more about why they want to open. So For me, part of the reason why I'm procrastinating is I'm still looking for ideas, gift ideas. Well, we're sending a gift guide email. Perfect. Let's go ahead and pull that one in. A couple of featured products. If you've been on a webinar before, you know the featured product for our demo store is that famous leather jacket. Just absolute classic. And then it is this season for zip-up hoodies as well. So let's just go ahead and use those at the moment. And then we're going to skip the discount just for now, but we can come back and do those later on if we need to. Once we've created the newsletter, to make these tweaks that Kestrel was asking us about, we need to get the menu navigation in there, a couple others. Let's go ahead and customize that and come right into the header section to start with. So scroll on down to where you have your menu. We'll go ahead and add another one. A couple of little things here. We can just go ahead and go with a really simple name just for gifts. So we can drop that in. And then what I want to do is link to that collection I was alluding to earlier. So over in my collection section, I have my Gifts 2020 collection. We'll go ahead and grab that one. I'm going to view that right on my shop page, even though I don't have it in my own navigation at the menu, just so that I can grab that URL. It's going to take them right there. Come back over to our navigation menu. We'll drop it in, and there we go, gifts right up there at the top. And because I know that Kestrel is a big fan of this organization, let's go ahead and drag that right on up to the top left. So it's that primary content. And you can get a little bit more creative by throwing a couple of asterisks around there and focus a little bit more on that particular section. So anything to kind of draw the eye, really get them to use that as quickly as possible. Now, a couple other sections that we wanted to talk about. We did want to create a little bit of a sense of urgency and highlight our unique selling proposition. So because this is my demo and my storefront, I'm going to use my unique selling proposition as free gift wrapping. So I actually wrapped all these presents in the demo image myself by hand. It only took me about 5 minutes each. So let's talk a little bit about that. And one section that you can use, everyone can use for that, is just by coming in and adding a rich text section. So rich text, really nice and easy. All we have to do is add that wherever we want, probably just above the featured products. And then we're going to say, free gift wrapping ends on December 17th. But again, we're creating that sense of urgency. What I'm going to do instead here is use this countdown timer. Now, the countdown timer in the template is supposed to use that discount end date, but I can actually switch that over to a specific date. And for me, I am going to go ahead and set that date to the 17th. And I'm going to update my heading to say here that the free gift wrapping ends on December 17th. Ends soon. So we've got that one set. I've went ahead and set my timing for that one. So we're just going to set that for 11:30 that night or all the way up to 11:59. And there we go. We created a really nice big sense of urgency right above the featured products in that section. So another great one there. I think the third one that you wanted me to show here was just a little bit more about how to kind of call out some of the shipping concerns. So when you have different sections and you want to do that vertical, those different column alignments that you had from some of the different examples, the text columns with possible images, this is a great section to be able to kind of set those different things right there. And all I've got is shipping concerns, and then I have my different deadline dates. So it's right there. They're looking through the products, they see what those deadlines are. Now, another fancy thing that you can do to try to make your message a little bit more festive, instead of using this header, I'm gonna pull that out. And instead, I like to use the signature section that we have here. And instead of signing off with that, I'm actually just going to repurpose it as a header. This is a really cool way to pull in a couple of different styles. So now instead of that, I'm gonna stick with my holiday red. I've got a nice big script. What I imagine is how Santa or Mrs. Claus writes right above my shipping deadlines there. So
Nice.
I think that just about covers all of my to-do list for you, Kestrel. Anything else?
No, you did. No, that was exactly what I wanted you to show. And I know Brian and I are moving kind of quick today. Don't worry. We're getting the recording out to you, but this was perfect, Brian. And I love how you put gifts with the asterisks up at that top so that people see right away. Like you just want to, again, the human brain is wired for the path of least resistance. So you want to put like just the simplest thing, the easiest thing to click right away for them so they don't have to do any work. And I think that that was nice with the gifts. And of course, who doesn't love a countdown timer? I think that those, I mean, they're useful. By the way, if you are if you are doing free gift wrap, make sure to say it loud and proud. I would 100% buy over to someone who's going to do that gift wrap over someone who didn't. That would be a game changer for me because I am terrible at gift wrap, and it takes a bunch of time and times what I don't have. And I love the idea of somebody wrapping my gifts for me. So, and I don't know, I might be able to bribe Brian since he's so good at gift wrap. I might be able to bribe him to help me out, but
We'll see.
we'll
I can't
see.
guarantee. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, let's get into the 5 campaigns to consider before the 25th and even beyond, for you all to consider. Up first here, and this probably won't be a big shocker. I know many of you have already done a great job at doing dedicated newsletters to gift guides, but I did want to call it out because it is such a no-brainer message for this time of year. It's obviously something that helps your subscribers and your customers because you automatically pull together a list for them to choose from instead of them needing to go hunt it down. And there's a couple of different ways that you can go about this. You can get pretty creative if if you want to. Society 6 has sections for like mom and dad, him and her. And of course, they've done a bunch of styling here. Not surprising, but considering the brand that Society 6 is. And then Lord and Taylor actually went really creative. Instead of doing just standard like him and her, they went ahead and said like the foodie or the outdoor adventurer. They kind of leaned into their audience a little bit more and kind of found different types of people. And the reason why the top part is highlighted is I just wanted to show you how different brands are, again, trying to alleviate that anxiety or trying to make things easier for their consumers by talking about their shipping or policies or gift ideas. Now, you don't this these are pretty elaborate, right? Like I just want to, if you're looking, these are like, Kestrel, look, this cannot happen right now. Hey, totally get it. I wanted to put it in here because I wanted you to see that there are some different kind of creative things that you can do. But you don't need to overthink it. You can keep it simple. You could keep it gifts for him, gifts for her. I know that one Seguno user also did this by price point with jewelry, and as I mentioned before, I think that that's such a smart idea, especially with that type of product, because people very much need to shop by price point because there's such a wide range. So those are two really simple points to start with. And Brian, I know that I just had you name off some really great things and show it off in the app, but just because I think a lot of people might be asking themselves like, it's a little bit out of the norm for maybe what they do on a day-to-day basis, but how would you set up maybe a gift guide section inside the application?
I mean, the biggest thing with that is just having that collection ready ahead of time. So again, all the integration that we have with our collection section is going to be what we can pull into the body of the message. So what I did was just a little bit ahead of time. I actually came through and I built out a couple different collections. These ones are pretty easy. I didn't have to go completely overboard. I know some of our users have some pretty big product catalogs, but thinking about, hey, you're trying to make it easier for them. You don't need to give them 50, 100 different ideas. Again, I want to be kind of told what to get them and say that, hey, this is a great gift idea, and maybe here are 7 or 8 other different ones. So I just came through, I built out a gifts for him, a gifts for her section, and I found some really awesome images. These ones are from Burst. You can find some great, what we'll call kind of like the cover or collection cover images or cover photos. And I'm gonna actually be able to pull those right into the same message that we did earlier on with the holiday gift guide. So instead of using these featured products, what I'm actually do is come into this particular section and I'm just gonna go ahead and remove those two. And I'm just gonna leave that blank so that we don't have any featured products there. And I'm gonna bring a new section in because I liked that side-by-side layout that you had. I'm gonna use the collection list here. So go ahead and we'll add that one. I'm going to pull out the heading, and I only have 2 different collections at the moment, so I'm just going to drop that down to 2. We'll go ahead and select those 2 collections. So that was gifts for her. We'll add that one, and then let's go ahead and add the next one, and we'll do gifts for him. Grab that. And there we go. All I need to do now is then just pull that right up right next to where the featured products would have been. And I've got those sections right in there really nice and easily. So you can do that again with all sorts of different collection styles if you want to do, as Kestrel said, maybe it helps for the foodie or for the adventurer, for the gardener, for all the different prospective customers that you have. And then just go ahead and use that collection list section. It's really nice and easy one for us there.
Yeah, I love that, Brian. I think that was really cute how you put that together. And obviously, you didn't reinvent the wheel. You found some stock photography, but altogether, I think it looks, really professional and, is like a fun way for somebody to immediately say, like, oh, yeah, that is what I need to go buy, which is very helpful. All right. Well, moving on to number 4, the Advent calendar, or you might have heard it called the Daily Deal or X many days of deals. This is a campaign that I have run with clients over and over again. And I would say for the most part, real talk, it does pretty well. It does do well. And I think most of that has to do with, like, let's face it, you're doing 12 deals or 24 deals or 10 deals or 5 deals or whatever it is. So, I mean, obviously, it's going to do well. It's a lot of promotions. And I will say that it also is good because it generates some excitement and curiosity as to what the next deal is going to be. Sephora is known for doing that, known for doing this. I'm sure people who are a fan of their email program, you've probably seen that before. But the one caveat to that I do want to warn you of, because I care very deeply about the health of your email list, because that's what's going to make you successful in the long term, is I would make sure I would consider not doing this if my open rates were already 20% or below. I would just go, it's a little bit too much it might be a little bit too much for your email list health. Now, if you're already experiencing open rates higher than 20% on a very regular basis, then it sounds like your audience is really engaged. And it sounds like, especially if you frame it as like, hey, this is going to be 12 days of deals or 10 days of deals or 5 days of deals, and they have that expectation and they know that it's going to stop after that many days, then you're going to be okay and, like, they'll get through it. But I would be cautious and probably say I wouldn't advise a client try this if they have kind of lower open rates. Here are 2 really great examples. One is using an animated GIF, which I think is really fun. And obviously, it's very eye-catching. And then they state what they're doing for their 12 days of deals. And then Thrive Cosmetics is just doing, instead of doing any kind of movement within the GIF, each day they're kind of Xing out the day before and prioritizing what day it is. So there's kind of 2 different styles to doing this, and we'll talk through a couple other styles as well. But another thing to, of course, note about this is it's not just that you have to have, you're going to schedule out 12 emails or X many emails. It's just that you also need that many deals. So this may or may not be applicable for you or appropriate for you in your store. But for those where, you are kind of meeting you have really solid open rates already and you have the deal capability and you have the time, I would recommend trying it out, because again, I've seen it do really well for some people, and I think that it's worth trying. Also, if you want to do the quote unquote advent calendar and like 12 days of deals, you should get started right away. But don't feel restricted to doing 12 either. Like, it can easily be 10 days of deals. It could easily be a week of deals. And each deal changes each day. You can make it your own. One that we see a lot is 12, but I mean, I've had clients do 24. I had a crazy client do something like 99. Like, there's no right or wrong here. I think as long as you can make it make sense for you and your audience, then it'll work well. But obviously, you do want to kind of look at the calendar and backtrack. And you'll notice here on the calendar, let's say that your last shipping day was actually like the 19th. And so the advent calendar runs over like the 20th and the 21st. You could make the deal on the 20th and 21st more virtual so that it's maybe like deals off of a virtual gift card or or something like that, so that it's something that they don't have to get in the mail, but it's something that can be redeemed online. So that's just a suggestion. And something that I was really happy to see that we came out with this year as far as templates is an X many days of deals template. And somehow our graphic designer, like this still boggles my mind, but he made this template look really, really cool, but you can edit it just like you would edit like a Word document. It's actually super easy to edit. You need zero graphic design skills or HTML skills to edit this. So this could be a technique that you want to use to get yourself up and going. But yeah, obviously it helps when somebody walks you through that. So Brian, again, I'm going to ask you, can you please show us how would we edit a template like this so that we could use it for however many days?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you right away, we're lucky that there's no graphic design skill needed, because that is not something that I have. So I know just enough HTML to be dangerous, not quite enough to be productive. So we do have another template there. That's the 12 days of gifting. Kessler's already mentioned a couple times, we don't have to do all 12. We can focus on digital giving. I know we've gotten a ton of questions about, hey, what are some ways that I can try to avoid all these shipping concerns? So we'll talk about those a little bit more coming up. Again, I don't want to give away Kestrel's presentation, but we do have these templates. Templates are going to save you a ton of time for building all these out. So when you're doing the multiple deals of days, there are a few different parts that we need to pull in through that. We've already got our message ready, but we do need to think about what our products are and what our different discounts are. So for my first day, or for my first daily deal, I'm going to go ahead and have a discount code ready, where I actually go through that discount code, and I'm just going to give a percentage off of that one. I'm going to assign that to a particular product. So I've got that one set. Or if you want to open it up, you can assign it to any of those new collections that you have. But trying to keep people focused on my higher margin items, or maybe the items that I know I can fulfill a little bit more quickly. And then down at the bottom, if you're really focused on that daily deal and that urgency, go ahead and set the active dates to what you know you want to do for each of those. So this is going to be my daily deal. Kestrel says I have to send this tomorrow. I'll go ahead and start that discount code at 12 o'clock, ended it just before midnight that night, again, so that we have that sense of urgency. So if you're doing 5 of these, you can go ahead and set up all 5 of the discounts right away. And then I'm going to show you how we can actually set up all 5 of the emails and have that whole thing scheduled, ready to go. We can knock it out before dinner time tonight, and then have our emails planned out for all of next week as well. So let's go back into here. I want to use this template. So we're going to use the template to create a newsletter. So we're coming over to the newsletter section. I'm going to go ahead and click create newsletter. Down at the bottom, there's my 12 days of gifting. We'll go ahead and select that one. Now my titles, again, I'm going to keep it creative. So we're going to call this the first day of Christmas. I don't know why I'm going to do that one. And then my subject line, I like to play into a little bit more kind of the story. So on the first day of Christmas, and then guess what tomorrow is going to be? On the second day of Christmas, on the third day of Christmas. It's just going to make things a little bit easier for me to come up with those. And then the preview text, again, reasons why they're going to open it. So I'm going to say our 12 days of deals will give you ideas for everyone on the nice list. So it's just going to, again, a little bit more of the value prop that we have within there. I'm going to select that featured product that we have. So I will go ahead and use the leather jacket, add that one. And then for my discount code, what I need to put in here is going to be the name of the discount code. So my holiday deal day 1, let me go ahead and copy that one in and paste it right there. And because this is special for my subscribers, I'm going to generate a unique code. So everyone's going to get their own 6-digit code that they can use to purchase that leather jacket. Let's go ahead and create the newsletter here. And the first thing that I notice is I'm creating the first one for day 1. And the template that we have right now is set to go ahead and send for day 4. So I need to get that one updated, change that day 4 to day 1 so that it matches with my expiration date and everything within there. So we'll go through and customize. And then again, our graphic designer, very nifty, creative in the way that he created this. So all I need to do is actually come into the image with text overlay section that I have. And I'm just going to update this rich text that I have right here. It looks a little bit intimidating. Don't worry, it's actually way easier than you might think. All I'm going to have to do is come into the 4. Let's go ahead and back that out to a 1. Let's go ahead and get rid of the other ones here. And then I just need to come over into my styling and add my 2, my 3, and my 4. Make sure that I'm using the double spaces because we've got those set for the other ones, just that our spacing does look nice and even. Mine does not yet. There we go. So now I've got that one set. And it's just going to help people kind of walk our way down through there. And if I'm updating that for 6 days of Christmas or anything else, I'll go ahead and just go ahead, back those out and make sure that I update my text that I have right here across the top. So really nice and easy. I've got that one set. I've got other gift ideas. I might update this to call out some of the other collections. But again, what I want to talk about is how we can set all of these up right away. So I'm going to go ahead and save this one. I'll go back to my newsletter, and then I'm going to schedule this one to go out. So this one is for the 10th. Let's go ahead and get that out right at midnight or at 12 a.m. We'll schedule that delivery. And then I'm just going to come back. I'm going to create another newsletter. So all I need to do, again, I'm just going to grab that same template. This is going to be my second day of Christmas. And I'm just going to keep working my way through there. So again, I've got the template. All I need to do is select the product. I've got my discount. And I'm able to create that Advent calendar series really quickly, really easily for it there. Kestrel, what do you think?
I love how efficient and yet beautiful what you've put together is. So that's
Well, I
kind
didn't
of
put
like
it
my favorite
together.
thing.
Let's go ahead and give Jeff credit
Right.
where it's due.
Yeah. Graphic designer, but as the sender, you now get the credit from your audience, which personally I love, and it also saves you a lot of time, which is my favorite thing. So that was great. I want to get into, I'm looking at the clock and I know we still have a couple more to get through. So I wanted to get into self-gifting. This is campaign number 3. So how much do you I'm not going to do a poll question, but just in your own mind, out of the total budget, how much do you, for the holiday season, how much do you think people spend on themselves during the holiday season?
Oh my
And Brian, I'm
goodness.
not going to ask you because I know you know
Oh,
already because we talked
yeah.
about it.
Well, I was gonna say I'm the only one with a microphone, so I will happily say that the way that I give gifts to other people are finding things that I want to buy for myself, and then I either get an extra one for myself or hope that I get to use it when I give it to them as well. So self gifting is a big part of the holidays for sure.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it happens. And like a lot of us want to buy, a new outfit or whatever it might be too. But I've looked at some data to back this up, and about a third of the holiday budget, 1/3, is dedicated to self-gifting or a treat yourself. So self-gifting is a big market. It's about as much as people spend actually on gifts themselves. So don't underestimate this type of campaign or this type of sales that you can get during this time of year. The great thing about the self-gifting is also it doesn't necessarily have to get there by the 24th, right? It's also a very simple message. It's very much about treat yourself. So here's some subject lines you can use. Here's some headlines that you could use in the message. You could add in some different product ideas. You could add in some fun lifestyle shots in there, but it is very much like, okay, did you not get what you wanted? So maybe it's kind of a funny one to send out on Christmas Day itself. I've seen one in the past that used a GIF from a Christmas Story where the little boy is classically given the little like bunny outfit, which is just funny. But treating yourself during the holiday season is very much a thing that people make budget for, and so it's very much something that you might want to consider. It's a simple message too. You really don't have to go all out. You don't have to plan for 12 days. So I highly suggest, doing that whole treat yourself message. We also have some other examples here. You deserve a pick-me-up, something for you. They're taken care of. It's your turn now. Happy holidays. You treated everyone else. Now time to treat yourself. So those are some other fun examples that you guys can peruse later when we send out the recording. And then last day to ship messages. I would call this kind of an essential message for the holiday season. And when I say the holidays, I know that we have international people on the call today, and that could mean the 24th, 25th for some people, and it could mean the 6th for some people. It could mean a lot of different days. So just for the sake of today, I'm kind of using the Christmas season here, but obviously this translates so well. It's a very essential type of message that translates across the board. It's basically kind of saying, knocking on the door and saying, "Hey, Brian, here's your last chance. I know you waited until the last moment. Really need you to go ahead and make an order so that we can get it to you in time." And this is sometimes people, and a lot, a lot of humans are like this. Like, they're not going to take action until you tell them it's your last chance. That's a huge group of people. And so this is a very useful message. It's not so much seen as a promotional message. It's actually seen more as you doing a service, as you kind of saying like, "Hey, I wanted you to know, if you want to get it there on time, here's what you need to do." And so it might look a little bit more administrative, but because it is like that last chance vibe, you can really see a lot of traction there. Here's some other examples that I thought were kind of cool. Of course, a countdown timer is always very helpful. Like that does well. Or you can use calendar icons, or you can just very simply state like order by X to get it by Y. Again, if you happen to use our templates, this is one of those examples where you will need to come in and customize these dates to make sure they line up with whatever dates you want, but something to consider. And then finally here, another kind of essential message that I think does really, really well, and again, the stats prove it, is this kind of gift card or procrastination message, as it can also be called. And I was, doing all this research for this presentation, and like I said, I've gone through many, many holiday seasons, and I'm always surprised by this stat, but gift cards are the most purchased gift, and they are the most requested gift outside of just cash money. So gift cards are very high on everyone's list of things that they want to purchase and that they want to receive, meaning that, it's a very popular item. You should be in that conversation too. When people think about gift cards, they should be thinking about you also, because as we all know, the gift card retention rate of people actually utilizing them is quite low. I'm not going to get into that, but gift cards do well. They're also not that complicated of a message. Like, you need to have a strong statement, a strong headline, something like give them something that they'll want, let them choose, forget someone, we've got you, skip the line, send them a gift card. Um, these are simple statements, but they really help drive home how useful gift cards can be. And of course, if you want to change it into more of like that procrastination message, you can always lead in with something like, "Uh-oh, it's Christmas Day. Do you need a present right away?" I just made that up, but it rhymed and it sounded nice. This is, like I said, a very simple and direct type of message. And you can see in the examples that we've got here, it's very popular to show an image of the gift card as well, and then immediately just link them to gift cards. And often I see these as not having anything else in the message. Of course, that's up to you. And of course, you could be promoting gift cards the whole time through some kind of secondary call to action in your messages. But I know a lot of people are going to have questions around like, "Uh-oh, well, I've never put gift cards in my emails before." And so, Brian, let's go ahead and walk people through how they can put gift cards into those newsletters.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do really quickly want to mention, especially with the last ship date, this has been, apparently it's not just consumers' top concern, it is everybody on the webinar's top concern as well. Seeing a lot about, ship dates are not confirmed or not guaranteed by the carriers, all of those types of things. Think about not just for your ship dates, but if you're doing any type of local pop-ups or any type of local shop, you can call those out. So, hey, my last ship date passed, but you can find me at this particular pop-up. You can find me at this particular spot. And again, these are people that are engaging with your brand. They want to buy from you. They want to come back to you, make that purchase. So telling them how they can help themselves and help you to make that purchase. It's another good way for kind of avoiding those last ship date issues. But Kestrel wants me to take a look at some gift cards. So the really nice thing with the gift cards is no shipping at all. So within your admin, there's a really quick and easy setup we need to do just to make sure that you are ready to sell those gift cards. So under your products section that we have here in your products admin, we're just going to go down to the gift card section. Go ahead and make sure that you've got that enabled. And then I do like to have just a product image. I just took a quick screenshot of that one so that when I put it on my product page, I have that there. Works really well with the gifts for him, gifts for her, gifts for everybody. Gift cards are just perfect. So I want to keep that just nice and clean and easy that way. If you've got your own fancy gift cards, definitely get a high quality photo of that and upload that one directly. So some pretty neat things to be able to do that. So I've got that one set. And then again, I'm gonna come back and create a newsletter. We have a couple of different templates here that kind of match the different styles that you want. For me, I'm sticking with a lot of the holiday reds. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this one that we have right here. I'll just go ahead and create that gift card. I'm gonna get really creative with my title. Again, I'm gonna use gift card and then the date format for when I wanna send it. Subject line, we're playing off that sense of urgency, or hey, I forgot to get a gift for someone, whatever it might be. And then preview text, again, hey, why do you want to open that particular message? So need a gift right away that will impress. That's what gift cards are for. Got that one set. And then we're just going to come in here, and this is a really easy template for us to modify. All that I want to do is go ahead and link all of the call to actions directly to that gift card page so that people can end up right there. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that right out of my, my browser. I'm going to come over into customize that. And I'm going to first update the button. So I've got my button link right there. Go ahead and paste it right in. There's my gift card. I'm good to go. And then the other thing that a lot of people kind of miss when they're designing their emails, especially on mobile, we're really, one of the most commonly clicked or tapped areas is going to be that primary image. So whenever you put an image in your message, whether it's going to a particular product or anything else, just make sure that those images are linked at a very minimum, that they're taking you back to the homepage for your site. But we can go ahead and link that straight to our gift card as well. So I've got that one set. That's really easy for me to be able to do. I've got that whole gift card set up and ready to go.
Nice. Looks good. Thanks. That looks like that was actually pretty easy to do. So thank you so much for that, Brian. And that leads us to the end of walking through the campaigns. Just as a reminder for what we talked about today, make sure to use what makes you unique as a business in combination with whatever promotion and the holiday season together, so that that'll help you stand out in the inbox. Tweak those messages ever so slightly. We want to increase those clicks because ultimately that will lead to more sales. And then the campaigns to consider, gift guides. I'm sure a lot of you all are doing that. I consider that kind of table stakes, like something that, is a no-brainer for this time of year. The X many days of deals, that might be a tough one. Totally get that. It's not necessary. I know it's a lot of work, but it can have a high reward. Treat yourself messages. I think that that's a really good one to try. And then ones I would definitely do is that last chance shipping information, especially if you have a product that just takes a longer lead time, and then the gift card promotion, procrastination type message. Now, it's not quite over yet. I did want to let everybody know, if you wanted more, if you want to see some live teardowns, if you want me personally to review some of your automation, your messages, or some of your promotional campaigns that you've sent out, maybe set yourself up for success for next year. We are doing a growth lab with Shopify. It's happening next week. It's happening next Thursday. All you need to do is go to tiny.cc/growthlabdecember or DC. We will send out this link. You can also stay tuned in your inbox. We're going to be sending out the link again next week. And you can submit your messages to get a live teardown from me. Don't worry, I'll be nice, but I still will definitely be very constructive as well and give you some solid feedback that's specific for you. So please, if you would like a little bit more, make sure to sign up for this Shopify co-hosted growth lab next week. And then resources. We talked about a lot of different things today, so don't worry. We've got it. We've got some resources listed out. We try to make sure to shoot videos or have articles about everything that we talked about here today, from how you would do it in the app. And of course, you will get the recording, so you can go through this at your leisure afterwards. We will make sure you have that. And then we want to know how we did. I cannot say how important this is for me and Brian. We love being able to know what you guys thought. Did we do a good job here today? Was this helpful for you? Because we plan on doing so many more of these in 2021. And we want to know from you what you thought. So please head over to tiny.cc/Kestrel. We are going to jump into questions right now, but if you have time today, it is a very short survey. I think it's actually just one required question and then 2 optional questions. So it is a very short survey, but it really helps us a lot. Please head over to tiny.cc/Kestrel. And then I'd like to open it up for some questions. Brian, do we have any, and please, everyone, now is your question time. So I know Brian and I just did a ton of talking. Let's get some questions in. Let's talk through kind of maybe what you had questions over as we were going through all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a lot of great questions come in, and Chris has been doing a really good job answering a lot of those as they're coming through the Q&A. So definitely keep those questions coming through the Q&A. A couple of things that, Kestrel, I want to pass over that were kind of repeating themes from there. A lot of different concerns about, carriers aren't guaranteeing that they can fulfill my messaging. Do you have any suggestions on ways that I can kind of state that within my email without scaring my customers off? So, kind of saying that, hey, maybe my last ship day has actually already passed, but you can continue to order. The ones for me, I'm always thinking about, those self-gifting. Those are good ones because, again, you don't quite mind as much if it's not wrapped up under the tree. But, there are some different ways. Do you have any other thoughts for how they can state that?
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, self-gifting and gift cards are 2 strong campaigns to be there. I mean, I think it's important to just stay transparent and to back up whatever you say as best you can. So and by that, I just mean be careful with the language that you're using. You're not going to want to use things like guaranteed or what have you. I would put in date ranges instead of specific dates, and you should be able to get those hopefully from the different providers, so that people understand that it is a range. And also, you're not operating within a bubble. This is obviously what people are seeing from a lot of other merchants, big and small. So this is pretty regular, but I would just go ahead and make sure to be pretty honest, because you just don't want to have and I know this is everyone's top concern. You don't want someone to have a bad experience with you. So I would be transparent there and utilize date ranges as much as you can.
Nice. That makes a lot of sense too. And again, I think I mentioned it earlier, but anything that you can do to avoid shipping entirely. I buy from a couple of local merchants that actually they do local delivery. So something about if you're delivering within this particular area, we've got a different date range for you than if you're shipping outside. So that's another nice way to kind of drive more local if you are
Mm-hmm.
doing your own delivery.
Yep.
Those
Yep.
pop-ups, things like that.
Yeah, no,
Um,
spoiler alert, but while I have you guys on the line, I want to make sure you get to take advantage of it. I'll talk about it more next week, but shopping local, utilizing that local delivery, that you have way more control there, and you kind of know the distance that is going to be there and that it can be met. So I think local delivery is definitely something to take advantage of.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are doing any of those pop-up shops, anything like that, and you have a tablet, definitely take your tablet to your pop-up. That is a great time to get new subscribers. So you can pull up your newsletter page or newsletter form or anything along those lines, just that people can subscribe right at that point. It's a great way to kind of build your business going into next year as well. So those are valuable shoppers you definitely want to hold on to next year.
And if you
Uh,
are going to do something like that, I think the language that you want to use is that, hey, we're always coming out with new things and we want to keep our audience aware of all the cool new things we're making or that we're doing, so give them kind of that pitch. And if you need a little bit of extra, a little extra spice on there, you could always say like, oh, and for December, we're also raffling away one free mug or to da 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 da. Like you could set up a raffle or something like that as well. But that's a great idea, Brian.
yeah. Couple other good questions here. So there are a few about what are actually considered good rates for
Hmm.
good open rates, good
Hmm. Hmm.
click-through rates. This is one that we get all the time, and I'm going to let Kestrel talk about it a little bit more, but the answer from my perspective is that it very much depends on the shop, because your audience is going to be a little bit different. So I can tell you what, or Kestrel is going to tell you what the industry standards are because she's read that more recently than I have, but keep in mind that your audience is a little bit different, and it's definitely going to vary based on how often you send, all sorts of different factors. If you have more questions about that, that's a great thing to ask us in support, if you're ever worried about, hey, if your email performance isn't going great.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's definitely probably one of the most asked questions in the industry. So if you have that question, then like you get a gold star. That's definitely what everyone else wants to know too. And it really depends. So like if you have 10 friends that signed up for your email and that's as big as your list is, then you would expect to get like a 90%, 100% open rate, right? Because they're your friends and there's only 10 of them. However, that's really not how your email list should work. If they're your friends, that's great. That's great for a friendly newsletter, but that's not a business. A business is going to have lots of subscribers and customers that you might not know. They might really love your brand and you might have a strong affinity for them, but they're regular people having a regular day and they're not going to be able to open every single email that you send to them. So usually what I like to see, and the way I'm going to state this is kind of how I look at it when I've have been a strategist working with clients in the past. I get nervous when open rates are below 20% for retail clients. That's when I start to really dig in and start to peep through their list and see how big it, like how big it is, how have the last couple messages been performing, what's the unsubscribe rate, and really start to do some investigation. More than 20%, and I'm a little, and I don't have that same nervous feeling. For a smaller shop, and for the type of products or how you've acquired them, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see open rates at 30, 40, 50%. That's great. That's a really engaged audience. That's a group that really wants to hear from you. um, when I've worked more in kind of like the B2B market where it's really fierce, really competitive, people have huge lists with like 1 million people on them, stuff like that. That's when we start to see open rates more around like 10%, because really like 1 out of 10 people is going to open every message, but you're also sending a lot over the course of time. We also got a lot of questions around frequency. And so I wanted to just address that really quickly too. Um, how often you want to send is, of course, totally up to you. And obviously, you'll know if you're oversending because you'll start to see open rates like dramatically decline over time. Um, but I would say a lot of retailers have a cadence of once a week or once every 2 weeks. I worry that once a month isn't taking advantage of your audience, isn't taking advantage as much, but it's a good place to start, especially if you're short on time. And once a week might be too much. That might be a lot of work for you. Obviously, you want to systemize as much as possible. And then as far as when you want to send over the course of the day, it really depends on your audience and when they're active and online. I would say a great place to start, though, is normally in the morning because that's when a lot of people get to work and are checking their email. So mornings are a great place to start. Now, I say everything that I just said here has a giant caveat that it always depends, because there's going to be fringe cases where it's going to be exactly the opposite of whatever I say. That happens all the time because there's tons of different types of products out there and different types of audiences all over the world. But these are just a few trends that I see over and over again when working with, again, hundreds of retailers.
Yeah, and one thing I mentioned, we talk about what these rates are, and in full transparency, if you're under 20%, Kestrel obviously, when you have Kestrel's help, you're going to get over 20%. But for most Seguno users, I think the average last time I checked was somewhere right in that 17 to 19% range from week to week across all of our users. Now, like you said, some of those people are, we've got people that are not doing very well and they're in that 10% range or a little bit lower, and we'd like to see a little bit more engagement. But then we also have people on the upper ends of things, looking at some shops where people are getting 70, 80% engagement. But the main things that you want to focus on when you're trying to increase your engagement, whether it's opens or clicks. Opens, it's really about consistency for timing, good subject lines. Kestrel has a fantastic guide for how to write good subject lines. So making sure that your subject line is clear, using preview text is important for increasing those open rates. Again, talking a little bit more about why they want to open the message. And then in terms of if your click rate is low, click rate's going to be really different for a lot of different shops. But the big thing is having action-oriented language and lots of clickable links. So that navigation menu at the top, linking your images, creating lots of buttons with the links to your site, telling people what to do. So rather than just a little bit more passive, there are gift cards over there, it's shop gift cards, buy gift cards, something that tells them a little bit more about what to do. That's going to help with the click rates a lot. Let's see here, a couple other just general questions, and the questions queue is slowing down a little bit. So guys, if you have any other questions, please do get those in. I know we've kept you a little bit over an hour, but we're happy to stay as long as you do have those questions. Let me see here if we have any other ones that we're thinking about. Let's see here. A couple of questions on how to use emojis in subject lines. Kestrel, while I'm thinking about that one, did you have any best practices for using emojis in subject lines?
Yeah, I think well, okay, so I'm me and I'm a funny person. I like fun stuff. I communicate with emojis in my day-to-day life all the time. But that might not be your end user, right? So you just gotta kind of remember that. But I think emojis are fun. They can be kind of tongue in cheek, or they can kind of just be like an exclamation point. They're a fun thing to have. And I see them used not just in email subject lines, but in Instagram all the time. So there's kind of like a little separate there's like a little language that's going on there that's very fun. And so I think you can sprinkle them in every now and again, and it can be nice. And actually, I've run tests with plenty of customers, and sometimes I've seen just adding in a few emojis really help the open rate. And then I've also seen it not really do anything for it. So I think you kind of have to see who's your audience, what kind of subject lines are they going to respond to well. Obviously, if you do have a really strong Instagram audience, you can kind of test out a few like a few lines in a post and see if that what happens there, and kind of see what people think about that. I would approach it kind of cautiously. You just don't want somebody to misinterpret something, or even worse, if let's say you made a subject line with like only emojis, and then for whatever reason emojis don't render for that person or for a group of your audience, then that would be a lost message, right? People aren't going to open it. So I think, just as a little tip, have maybe start off with having one at the beginning of your sentence or a couple at the end of your sentence, or something like that. Maybe make it a bright one so that's easy to recognize, especially on a phone, so people can right away see like, oh, that's cool. So I would definitely dip your toe into it, because for me they're very attention grabbing, and like I said, I have had plenty of clients and they've tested and done well. So I think, I'm pro emoji. There might be other people, it might be controversial, there might be anti-emoji people out there, but like, I think it's a nice thing to go ahead and try.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, it kind of depends on the shop. And I would have bet the house on the fact that you were pro emoji. I can tell that. I know that about you. But for me, I like to use somewhere 2 to 3 emojis is kind of the sweet spot, because I am concerned, like you said, about if they don't render properly. Now, rendering is something that's always a concern for email. When we talk about things that are web safe or are not guaranteed to render, usually you're talking about it will work for most providers. And because everybody is using smartphones, or most of email is going through smartphones, you can be a little bit more confident that emojis are going to work there. Where we're saying that they might not render is anybody using some of the more legacy email providers, some of the kind of desktop setups. So you can be pretty confident there, but again, you don't want to put your whole subject line in hieroglyphics and then have nobody be able to decode it.
Right.
Um, so I threw a link in the chat there. I apologize. There was a typo on that first part. So if you want to take a look at it, you can definitely use that. The other one, you can Google them, Google emojis, and then just copy and paste them from there into your subject lines if you need to. But however you use them for your computer is going to be a little bit different. So I don't have any other questions coming in at the moment, and we've been right here at an hour and 15 minutes. Real quick before we do sign off, I do want to thank you guys for sticking around so much. We really appreciate your time. We will try to get the recording out as soon as it's available. The goal is to have it out this evening. If not, it will be there first thing in the morning. There will be the PDF as well. So all of these links to Kestrel's subject line guide, everything else, those will all be in there with the PDF. Keep an eye out on that. And then just one last question or one last request outside of Kestrel's survey. If you guys are enjoying Seguno, we really do appreciate having those product reviews or those app reviews on the Shopify App Store. Those go a long way for us and really help other shops like yours to be able to find us as a great option for their email marketing. So please do go into the Shopify App Store and leave us a review. We really appreciate that. You can count that as my Christmas present. And again, other webinars, other topics, go to tiny.cc-kestrel.
Yeah, definitely. We're planning out 2021 right now. Very excited for the content we're going to put out in 2021 to make really efficient, really great, really high converting email programs for you guys. So please give us any feedback that we need so that we can, make the best content possible for you. But yeah, thanks everybody.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.